Um, I thought about it for a while because I was trying to figure out what to talk about. First, I had an excellent day yesterday. Didn't start off that way. The first 3 hours were questionable at best. I think I was averaging about $5 below minimum wage. And by the time I was done, I was making about $23 an hour. So that is definitely a win-win. So the topic is actually based on some news that's come out that Deliveroo, yes, that Deliveroo was bought by Doordash for $3.9 billion. Now, who is Deliveroo? Deliveroo is, I, I don't know if it's just the United Kingdom or if it's like Western Europe. I'm not sure exactly. I believe they serve 40 countries, if I remember right. But it just made me think, how many food delivery apps are there around the world? Now, it turns out we have three in the US, and there's another 17 from around the world, and in all sorts of places. So, of course, there's DoorDash, Grubhub, and Uber Eats. And Deliveroo is really now DoorDash Europe, I guess. Um, there's one in the Netherlands called Just Eat Takeaway. There's one called Food Panda, one called Glovo, Zomato, and I think that was India. Swiggy, which just sounds funny. I believe that's from India too. It's like just getting swiggy with it. I'm sure that they probably use some sort of pun for their commercial ads. So there's iFood, Rappi, Rappi, Bolt Food out of Estonia, Ella, ELE.me, Mutuan, and I think those were China, Didi, Didi, Wolt, WOLT, Talabat, Gojek, and Pedadosia. And these are all names of all the food delivery apps around the world. I mean, we think of R3, but there's 20. There's 20 of these food delivery apps all over the world. So with the purchase of Deliveroo by DoorDash, I wonder if they're going to go around the world and try and buy some of these other ones, like from India or China or Estonia or Finland, Netherlands. I've heard that like the one for the Netherlands is really big over there. What was it? Just Eat Takeaway. So with DoorDash buying Deliveroo, I think if I remember reading the news about it, they're trying to kind of give this Just Eat Takeaway place a run for their money. Wait, I have no idea. But this is a modern society, right? You think you're the only ones doing stuff, and then you realize the world has these. I also kind of wonder how they do these food delivery apps around the world. What do they pay them? What do they use for transportation? Um, is it the same as like, DoorDash? How do they do independent contractor? Do they have to be an employee? I mean, I don't know how they do that in other countries. I don't know how I don't know whether they have independent contractors around the world. I don't know how they pay them. I mean, it would be so fascinating to actually see how all these different countries do their food delivery apps. they probably all have the same sort of system with how the order is done, how the driver is supposed to pick it up, and and all that. But I just kind of wonder what kind of vehicles they use. I mean, do they use cars? Do they use? I would imagine there's a lot of scooters. I would imagine there's a lot of motorcycles. Um, when you think of like a food delivery app in Estonia, I mean, I just can't picture it in my mind what that even looks like. But I mean, it's just fascinating because I had AI, do a print up of all these different food delivery, and this is just food delivery. They had a whole nother section of like grocery and retail, doing the same kind of thing. It's just what happens when you live in your own little world and you think you're talking about DoorDash and Grubhub and Uber Eats and Instacart and Shipt and Amazon, and you don't realize it's like, oh wow, there's a whole other world out there. I would love to know how these other apps work. I'd also like to know if, some of these other competitors are going to try and buy up these other, some of these other food delivery apps. So maybe they can be the same size as, one of these Chinese ones, Chinese food delivery apps, or whether they're trying to be as big as one of the food delivery apps in the States. I I also kind of wonder what kind of volume you get for, food delivery apps in these other countries. It can't be. I mean, there's companies, right? But how many people are actually using these food delivery apps in Finland, in China, in Turkey, in the UK, in Spain, um, in India, in China? I would love to know, you know, how many deliveries do they do? I mean, are they busy do they run into the same issues? It's like, do they curb the amount of drivers that are on at any one point? Because we don't do that. We just, you know, the three apps here, they all just hire until they saturate the market. So it doesn't really matter. But I don't know why. That just kind of hit me. It's like, I'm just curious how all these other places work, how much they charge. Do any of them make money? Because none of the food delivery apps here make any money. I mean, they're pretty, I mean, okay, they make money, but if you look at their stocks, they say they don't make money. They say they're not profitable. I think that Grubhub isn't. I think Uber is. I think DoorDash just became profitable within the last year. But are any of these other 17 food delivery apps profitable? Do any of them make money? How many deliveries does a driver get in Estonia or Finland or Spain? I mean, what are the hazards of delivering in these other countries? Do they offer 20-minute service or does it take an hour? I mean, how easy are gas stations to get to? Do they use gas? Do they have to use electric cars in some countries? I mean, it's all these fascinating things that I wonder about these other, and maybe I should just do a little more research on that. I just thought it was so funny because we think in the US about ourselves because that's how we are. But then you realize, oh yes, there's 17 versions of DoorDash, Grubhub, and Uber Eats around the world. Well, I guess that's it. I wish I could think of anything else, but that topic just kind of hit me on top of my head here. Have a good day.